Hi there. This is Alex James Hislop. I'm a psychic medium. We're going to do another Alex James Hislop Diary Entry. This is Zoom meeting ID 743-224-432. I'm asking for that Zoom meeting ID, as well as this Alex James Hislop Diary Entry content to be protected, defended, healed, as well as etc. to pop answer guides. So my answer guys needed light, far light, setting ways as needed light. Do what ways as needed in regards to this Alex James Hislop Diary Entry, February 13th, 2019. The way my answer guys needed it. This is AJHD Alex James Hislop Diary Entry content February 13, 2019. So I speak with spirits daily. I want to get some stuff out of the way in regards to certain kind of psychic activity. I know that some people might look at some of my content and say, maybe you'll say like, okay, is this guy? You might take a look at certain things and be like, whoa, I mean, that there's some heavy stuff at times. There's some stuff talked about behind the scenes, other dimensionally, with informational embedment, the way information can work, especially in other dimensions who are viewing content. If you were to find out that there is other dimensionals who are viewing our content, imagine, thousands of views on a YouTube video. Somewhere else might be, billions of views, actually, other dimensional existences, things of that nature. I and others from Answer Guides are advocating for safeguarding regarding my things. That means you guys need the way you guys need. There was a let know there. The little, certain spirits were just, well, anyway. I and others to find Answer Guides are advocating for, let knows in regards to my advocations. I do advocations at times. Sometimes I'm doing certain advocations to try and help spirits. It is difficult in regards to certain things. I know some people are hearing it sometimes, but I think there's a fascination in regards to it too. What's often forgot is that in my process isn't necessarily, we do advocations daily, but when people watch content, sometimes listening in for what exactly the advocation's about, what kind it's about, the intrigue in regards to the subject line and things of that nature, can be beneficial and interesting to a certain extent. That's, you don't know why. With that being said, I am advocating for intrigue to be protected, which doesn't need it. Continuing on with, this week, and so these videos I do to just give an update about my my process, my life. I know some people out there might be looking and saying, may look like a certain way. Those 5, 10, 1,500 views, 1,000 views, whatever it ends up being. You never know if it's 10,000, 100,000, or millions later on. You never know if it ends up being that sort of thing. If it ends up being that, wow, that is amazing. But for now, I haven't done too much marketing on it. I haven't done, at least, other dimensionally and spiritually, I think I have to a certain extent. In the physical currently, I'm just focusing on certain things that are happening in my life and, just kind of doing small, sort of actually. And physically, to a certain extent. It may seem that way that it's small, but it's actually at times has felt quite impactful. And I don't know if that's fully at my own accord, where spiritually it feels like there is stuff happening around me in very big ways. I am advocating for Vans to be protected. I'm advocating for American Eagle Outfitters to be protected. I'm advocating for the apparel companies to be protected. I'm advocating for commercials to be protected. One of the things I noticed this week in regards to psychic activity is one of those things where I started noticing within frames of photos. Now I've noticed things here and there. I'd look at a photo and notice certain kind of inflections about it, certain kind of aspects. And when you look at it and I'd be like, okay, certain kind of facial expression of face. As a psychic, I'm able to sense certain kind of overlapping layers or certain underlapping layers. I say overlapping in regards to underlapping a lot of the time, the way you guys indicated, but overlapping, certain expression. Someone does like a angry face, but there's something there. Is there like go like this, scrunch your face, do an angry, if you do like a, like certain kind of expression, right? Isn't there like something else there than just the look? I mean, you look at it, is it just that, or is it changing now? There's sometimes there's psychic activity changes in the moment. And you can see it. I'm not for the psychic activity changes. That means it doesn't need to receive the resources and support. That means it doesn't need. It's just, this planet is awakening. There is a certain kind of mandate in regards to, the event and things like that. And yes, we all have different ways of doing it, and we do have disagreements regarding certain things. But I think we need to be honest enough to say, hey, there are some psychic activity changes here. We got to be able to take a look at it at least. And you know what? With those physicals on this physical planet Earth, and that is an open, channeling spirit to a certain extent for what's acceptable. Maybe not, but for what's acceptable, is always for what's acceptable. Well, or maybe I don't know. I'm not for that voice to be protected, as has indicated. Anyhow, I'm not for the voices that has needed and clarifications regarding the voices that has needed to be protected, has needed. I have noticed at times that inflection in voice, that when you're talking, when you're speaking, that there is sometimes different kinds of voices that channel through. There is people out there that have a way with voices, and there's people who are able to just belt out different kind of voices at times for a reason. Their voice box is modified to a certain extent, I think, to a certain degree spiritually, potentially, and able to just do different kind of impressions and things of that nature in regards to different kinds of people out there. You think about famous people and things of that nature and doing that sort of stuff, but it's probably more than that too, to a certain extent. But you think about being able to see expression and things like that, and there's an actual layer. As a psychic, I'm able to feel there's an expression layer. It's not just about the visuals and what you see, but what you feel, what you sense. In the eyebrow area, you feel kind of a certain kind of energy in that. It's like almost like this, and you do this. Oh, is there a surprise kind of energy? You can feel that in there, and it's there for a reason, because then there's spirits there potentially doing that. Expressions exist. I'm asking for expressions to be protected. The way it's needed. I'm asking for hair to be protected. The way it's needed. You think about that sort of thing, and hair might be able to sense certain things to a certain degree. Why? What was the tell on that? Well, one of the tells is a reveal that I have said on these videos before, and it has to do with a certain kind of expression that you get in regards to certain kinds of actions. If you get a certain kind of disgusting kind of feeling, you're like, oh, that is not it. And you can almost feel it palpable, a certain kind of energy, a feeling on it. And sometimes it has to do with certain kinds of tells, certain kinds of things. If you notice that you have a certain kind of expression in regards to certain things being somewhere, it might be a tell in regards to those things itself. If you knew that somebody faints, from blood, seeing blood, there might be a dimensional overlap layer that could be impacted from seeing that blood. There might be something else other dimensionally in regards to that too, where they're just like, oh, you're just kind of like, whoa, that kind of thing. And I'm after my dimensional layer there to be protected, because I tried, letting know of it, and I didn't want to harm him. I didn't want to change the energy levels on him. I'm asking for him to be protected. He says, my bad. Meant for slapstick to be protected. He says, "Isn't it it? I'm hoping." Meant for slapstick comedy to be protected. He says, "Negative." With that being said, I do want to read the disclaimers here. So that's one of those psychic activity tells that I've been noticing, and it's one of those things where expression, I think, is impacted, and hair is affected, I think, to a certain extent by certain expressions. Expressions that I've been able to feel and do as a psychic. So you see those expressions in your eyebrows and impressions and feelings like that, and I am editing for those what makes you guys need in regards to my Alex James Hislop Diary Entry videos that we just needed, especially regarding the let knows, the psychic activity let knows. In regards to it, I'm editing for the overlap spirits that we guys needed to be protected. The way we answer guys indicated, for freak's sake, wow. Papa don't preach, for freak's sake. I am sorry in regards to a couple things that I did today. One was out of anger and upsetness, and just I felt that way and I didn't mean to. I'm advocating for those that we just need to stop, myself and those that we just needed, in the moments that Mitsu guys indicated, the way Mitsu guys indicated. If there was a moment there where I lost control to harm someone, that is not what I want to be doing at all. There was a certain moment where I felt like, no, it was more like that, like, no, that. All right. I got really upset because there was some stuff that's been happening at times in my life, spiritually, where I felt like certain spirits were maybe haranguing, harassing, attacking, and it wasn't meant to attack. It was meant to defend. It was meant to safeguard and protect those whom you guys indicated. People have mistaken some of my actions, my movements, specifically my body language in regards to attack, when it's not meant like this. It's meant like this. It's meant to protect. It's meant to defend. And I know that some people consider it to be one and the same. So maybe that's the unclouthness about it. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be upsetting about it. I don't mean to be angry. It's just one of those things. I'm asking for a water in regards to myself, the ones you guys need. I'm asking for water to be protected, the ones you guys need. I'm asking for the the outside, the ones you guys need to be protected, the ones you guys need. So it was one of those things that I noticed. Expression. You look at expression in your eyes, and not just your eyes, expression. And then I noticed that it's one of those things that you can actually do. You can actually say things via an expression. You can actually speak. You can actually speak. Language. Doing language, different kinds of language. Sure, communication. Yeah, that's one of them. Communication, Alex. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. It really is. Communication. Yeah, communication. I sometimes perceive communication as yellow, and a yellow kind of golden kind of yellow, but I don't think it's the only thing. I don't think it's the only one. I think it's the one of the Joes. I think so. I think Joe. I think so. I think yellow is a kind of Joe. I think blue is a kind of Joe. I think to a certain extent. I think, or even red could be considered a certain kind of Joe. I think to a certain extent. I mean, maybe a different kind of wavelength to a certain extent, but I think that there is different wavelengths in regards to certain colors, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that actually blue and red get along quite well to a certain extent. Just as green and orange complement each other to a certain degree. Conflict management might, well, I'm advocating for conflict management to be protecting reasons negated. I'm advocating for those that means guys negated to be protected, the ways guys negated. I'm advocating for those that means guys negated in regards to what means guys negated to be safeguarded, the ways guys negated. So yeah, today was fairly interesting, but I am going to run down the, what was it? So since the 8th, I think I'm going to be running down here. I think so. Oh no, not the 8th. Maybe not the 8th. Maybe this is longer. Let me see the last time I did an Alex James Hislop Diary Entry, and I'm going to run down the disclaimers here in just a second. Okay, so it's actually since the 4th, so we got a lot to talk about. It's been about a week and 2 days. So I'm going to run down. Yeah, it sounds good. Maybe I'll leave out the past 2 days, and we'll just go to from the 4th to the 11th. That might be a decent idea. I don't know. We'll see how far we get because it can be intensive. Just kind of talking about certain things. So, I mean, what I haven't been able to relay at times is this certain kind of live perspective. And I don't know how to fully relay it to a certain extent. Okay, that was the case of this. Sorry. All right, no. We were trying to help somebody, Alex. That was the case of it. Well, I pulled what means you guys into it. That was the thing of it. Well, okay. Anyhow, I'm Alex James Hislop, Minicap's main spirit guides. Minicap's current information from light takes priority in regards to what Minicap indicated, the way Minicap indicated lights. Minicap's current information from light regarding what Minicap indicated in regards to myself and others to Minicap for what they chose for us in regards to this portion of the disclaimers takes priority how Minicap indicated light, the way Minicap indicated light. Minicap's current information for what they chose for the AJHD. Alex James Hislop Diary Entry content. February 13, 2019. February 13th, 2019. Information that Minicap indicated as well as other information that Minicap indicated takes priority how Minicap indicated light, the way Minicap indicated light. Any grammatical errors, etc. defined by Minicap within this content, etc. defined by Minicap that Minicap indicated can be clarified by Minicap's information should not deter from the information within this content, etc. defined by Minicap the way Minicap indicated light. For myself and others, defined by Minicap, all that is dimensions, especially far away light, as well as what Minicap indicated, are defined by main spirit guides in light, the way Minicap indicated in light. Main spirit guides chain of command is fully defined by main spirit guides in light. The way main spirit guides indicating light. I and others defined by Minicap are advocating for what Minicap chose for us to advocate in regards to this content, etc. defined by Minicap the way Minicap indicating light. Light and those that Minicap indicating light to do what Minicap indicated in regards to this content, the way Minicap indicating light. So I'm not looking for certain spirits to be targeted and attacked and harmed in negative ways, and the way it means guys negated, the way it means guys negated. This is the thing of it. Oh, I and others, yeah, that's the problem with it. I and others from main spirit guides are advocating for those that the main spirit guides indicated in regards to that was why. Yeah, it doesn't fit the mold either. It might be one of the dinosaurs. You never know. Phrase of real true. I and others from main spirit guides are advocating for clarifications and information regarding the AJH Earth doing call words. The way means guys needed. Light, far light, setting that means guys indicated light. Do what means guys indicated in regards to the keepers and the game makers that means guys indicated pertaining to the existences that means guys indicated. The way means guys indicated. Some of which I and others from Answer Guides are experiencing. The way means guys indicated. I apologize. I don't mean to upset. And as of late, I have been wondering, not necessarily about whether I want to be here or not. Strangely enough, in regards to certain some of it. You can't blame me for that last comment there. No way! I actually love this place, and that's the real true. Well, that was why. At times, it scares me. No, you can't. No, but that's just the problem with that. And that was the case. That was the case. You got on somebody's radar somewhere, Alex. That's what they say. It's a little bit more complicated than that. And yes, as a supporting cornerstone, some of the things that I do here really do matter. I'm asking for the, safeguards in regards to the information that makes guys need to be protected. Makes guys need so information, spiritual informational embedment, and things like that. There is something taking place, currently that makes guys need to potentially the way guys need. I'm after the feng shuiers of information pertaining to content. Creation and others from regards to be situated the way guys need. I'm asking for clarifications to be displayed in the moments that makes guys need pertaining to the reputational defense and explanational prowess pertaining to those that says needed. The way says needed light far relate setting says needed light doing says needed regarding it. The way says needed. I'm advocating for the targeting that says needed in regards to Alex James Hislop's process that says needed pertaining to negative spirits, attacking, harming, hurting, etc. Departments regards. I'm advocating for what says needed regarding it. There really is, I don't know what to tell you about it. It's one of those things where it's like, you know what? Can we have one day where we don't talk about some of that stuff? And we have at times, and this is the truth. But we need, there's got to be something. And I know that there's people out there, but we need to be able to protect. And this is where I go to that sort of thing and says, okay, so demeanor, mentality, thinking, thoughts, shaping processes. It exists to a certain degree. Sometimes in a large way. What can I do to be able to just change some of it? To a certain degree. That's kind of how I feel. So I'm gonna go get some water. I'm gonna leave this running for a bit. I'm out of the entertainment that makes guys need to be displayed. Where makes guys need the way makes guys needed. Excuse me. Sorry about that. I apologize to the listeners and viewers. I'm asking for clarifications in regards to what's taking place in regards to my process pertaining to February 4th, 2019, all the way to February 13th, 2019. Softly, if possible, in regards to February 12th, 2019, and February 13th, 2019. The way we guys indicated. Regularly in regards to the 4th and to the 11th. Alex James Hislop keeps main spirit guides. I and others to testify in regards to what I may can't indicate in regards to Alex James Hislop Diary Entry content. February 13th, 2019 information that may can't be indicated, and others to as well as those that may can't be indicated the way may can't be indicated. So what kind of psychic activity do I experience at times? So is it something that's explainable? And as I said earlier, the expressions I think is explainable and something that's noticeable. One of the things I've been noticing at times is expressions within photos. And when I explained it earlier, I think it works. I think it's something that's decent. Excuse me. Yeah, see, because I'm having for memory to be protected. Sorry. Yeah. So yeah. What else? I have quirks at times. It's I don't mean to be a bit of a weirdo. Yeah. So being able to notice certain things within photos. Imagine if certain existences existed, like the sort of kind of imagine if there was like a certain kind of essence to photos. Like a certain kind of thing that was that we're unable to fully able to discern in the physical for what's acceptable, except certain psychics may be able to notice certain things here and there. You catch something out of the corner of your eye, that might be a psychic activity that you're able to see. And when people just say, like, I thought I saw something there, it's like, there might be. I've noticed certain kind of beings moving, fairly quick. You know that Dragon Ball Z kind of stuff? There might be stuff like that, and it moves really so quickly that the physical eye can't even see it, can't even understand what happened there. It'd be like, imagine that something like really happened, and it was like we couldn't even see. Like, imagine the physical, like you know what I'm talking about. And people are like, oh, it could, and that's what's messed up about it. And there's people who could they're like, what's up? It's like, whoa, And it's that sort of stuff that's like you can imagine if something was to happen, like they probably mess around where like they move on the lawn. Or do something like that, and I think at times maybe, I don't think so on that one, but there might be practical, certain jokes here and there, but I don't think it's something for certain spirits, beings, etc. to be harmed over to a certain extent. I'm asking for psychological defense has been one of the topics today. I'm asking for psychological defense to be protected as needed. And protection, I thank protection the way you guys indicate. Protection has been amazing. It's protection, defense, healing. All three have been stellar. I'm asking for support to be protected. Which doesn't needed. And I'm asking for support in regards to defense. Which doesn't needed. I'm asking for healing in regards to protection. Which doesn't needed. I'm asking for miracle support in regards to healing. The way it says needed. And I'm advocating for blessings and imagination in regards to protection, which isn't. With that being said, I'm asking for I do have something on my wall. I'm Alex James Hislop, Camp's main spirit guides. I and others to Padre Camp are advocating for healing, defense, protection, etc. to Padre Camp in regards to belief, imaginations, contemplation, emotion, perception, cognitives, memory, dreams, forgiveness, trust, and others to Padre Camp, as well as those that may camp indicated the way we camp indicated, which includes the way we camp indicated, the way we camp indicated. Another one today has been about forgiveness. Forgiveness has been a big topic today. We've been talking about spirits have been conversing. We speak back and forth. I speak within my mind. I talk to them. So that's me talking in my mind. I'm able to speak. There's also another one too where I'm able to speak with the out loud voice in another place, in another dimensional existence. Feels like I'm speaking with my mouth open in another dimensional area. Yeah, it's another one. Yeah, I'm asking for my energies, and recharging in regards to my communications. Which you guys indicated, that cap, it really is, it can be at times damaging for what's acceptable. We think of a radiator, to a certain extent for some of it. Steam kind of lets out to a certain extent, or there might be certain kind of attachments to that. You never know. I'm not listening to that. Light, far relate, setting to existing again, like let know in regards to why spirits being successful departments regards shouldn't be subjected to ruining of intimacy that makes sense in the So that was let know by certain kind of things there. So I am all right, fine. Wow, okay. Oh, I live my life. So, so that's one of the psychic activities I talk with in my mind. Another one's a telepathy, a certain kind. Imagine being able to speak out of your hand or speaking out of your body. It's a certain kind of telepathic layer that sometimes exists over a certain kind of physicals. I think at times I associate with nature at times, but it's not the only one. There's another one. There's a certain kind of mental one that I'm able to speak with. It's quietness, kind of a quietness that sets in, and it moves in sometimes and speaks with me and things of that nature. I associate with gravestones. When you touch gravestones, there's this quietness, kind of a presence kind of moves in. There's communication within gravestones, people, and ashes and urns. Sacred ground, holy ground is another one. Yeah, well, this is what's interesting about this. The holy ground has been, I think, affected to, in a certain kind of way at times in regards to physical planet Earth. There is some, I think, lending going on at times, to kind of, for some to protect. I'm advocating for schools to be protected, the way these guys indicated. And I don't think that that's necessarily, it's not necessarily what you think it is for what's acceptable. But I think one of them could be, certain kind of, probably certain lendings to it and safeties. I am advocating for Tim Hortons to be protected, the way these guys needed. I and others from Instagrats are advocating for, those that we says needed in regards to Georgina, that we says needed to be protected, we says needed light, far light, setting that we says needed light. Look into what MHS needed pertaining to the schools and education that MHS needed, and do what MHS needed regarding what MHS needed for you to do pertaining to this marketing education, etc. So right there, I went to light, far relate, and setting that MHS needed light. Well, far relate is another term. It's a certain kind of light. It's defined by main spirit guides, the women's guides and getting lights. I've sort of associated with it might being, it may be and might be the end of the, one of the end of the line lights. To a certain extent, but you never know. There might be more out there, and it's fully defined by main spirit guides. The light for myself is fully defined by main spirit guides in the light. The way main spirit guides indicated in the light, it's in the setting that makes guys indicate. Imagine other dimensional settings. Imagine there's something, a certain equivalence to the light in another dimensional sort of form. What if it doesn't have to be light though? That's what's great about it. What if some of it's darkness? What if some of it's color? What if some of it's there's things like that. And I am sort of referring to, what I've sort of labeled as magnificence to a certain degree in regards to some of it. Some of it is also handlers, teams, and other things too. That means you guys indicated there might be certain things that aren't necessarily considered a magnificent. What I've sort of coined, I and others from Instagram coined the term to sort of be able to speak, in regards to certain kind of counterparts to the light for what's acceptable. Some of it might be considered that, some of it might not be. There's others out there that have certain kind of classifications. So everyone has their own way of looking at it. I'm not meaning to upset anybody on it for what's acceptable. I mean, I'm advocating for the upsettings that we guys need to be displayed. Where guys need how dare they? Break's sake. Sorry. I don't mean to upset anybody. There's certain spirits, negative spirits, that sometimes rely upon certain kind of upsettings to a certain extent. It really does matter. I know some people might not want to take it. But it does matter greatly. It's one of those things where people will be potentially helped to a certain degree. But I am advocating for the let knows in regards to what means you guys needed pertaining to the activities that means you guys needed. It really does matter. It really does. It's one of those things. In letting know of this information. It's I know some things that you may take like, it's like, okay, so how do negative spirits rely upon that sort of thing? It's imagine hookups. We think about survival mechanisms, right? So imagine death and life. What sustains some of us? Well, food, water, sleep, right? So that three keeps them. Air for us. Imagine that there is incarnation within air. Imagine there's incarnation within water. And what does that tell us? We know that maybe their animals have souls. So Imagine that certain smalls have potentially certain kinds of souls. And yeah, there is safeguards in play in regards to when belief potentially does affect certain things in regards to certain things. So it's one of those things that, I'm not necessarily trying to create, but I do need to know that it, potentially is a possibility. What if some of it is bodies to be able to sustain? Imagine where some air is incarnatable and some air is not. Imagine more humans inhabiting this air, the less, incarnatable air that, would potentially exist. Now, some people look at it and laugh, hey, that might not necessarily be it, but what if it is? Well, people were, saying that might be the case of it, so it's a potential. All right, fine. That was that was it. That was everything. All right, fine. And letting know if it, I think it needs to happen to a certain extent. It's the same thing in regards to water and certain foods. Imagine within each grape, there being certain kind of incarnational opportunities. That's scary, right? And imagine that we're on some sort of, other dimensional tree, in regards to certain things. Some big, some giant. It's just like, it kind of picks this kind of human off the tree. And it's like, I think it's time, And it's just things like that, where, you cross those. I don't know, some of it might be boundaries. Some of it might be sacred. You think about old sacrifices back in the day where, you used to sacrifice, chickens and lambs and things like that, and then animals, where to appease the gods. Well, there's things like that. Imagine we talk about gods, just picking up pick an apple off the tree. If there's incarnational opportunity on that and you're using it to sustain yourself and survive, what other, other things are there? You take a human off of it and just kind of place them in a certain spot, and all of a sudden there's this magic, right? And so it's one of those things, and there's multiple kinds too, right? There is multiple kinds. Okay. Because that was the case of it. Well, I and others from Answer Guides are advocating for the clarifications that means guys need to be displayed, where means guys need in regards to what means guys need, when means guys need. I'm advocating for, there is, eyeballs on the Joes. That means guys need, and, the specials, don't deserve to be, such, targeted in regards to certain things, just as the Joes don't. Neither do. I really do care about the conflict. I am advocating for what means guys need regarding it. I think that a lot of the specials care about the Joes, and a lot of the Joes care about the specials, and I think that's just what it is. It's a Joe kind of special. It's a Joe kind of special, I did, and it does matter. It is one of those things it's greatly important. So what you'd do? Let somebody go? I don't know. Yeah, well, that's why. Speaking of spirits, at times it's wild stuff, man. But yeah, you think about different kinds of things that could potentially exist in other dimensional form, and some of the diseases and things that we experience on the physical and other stuff. I think that there is a spiritual kind of connotation to it. I think that there is influence at times in regards to multiple different things within our lives. You think about urges, you think about feelings, you think about energies, you think about direction, guidance, pathways. You think about different kinds of ways of living, and I think that a lot of it's affected by the spirit around us, demeanor, mentality, personality, all of it. I felt personality be changed. I felt personality move away. I felt demeanor, totally be, a spiritual demeanor. I have felt, impressed upon me. I felt all different kinds of spiritual stimuli at times, myriads of different, all different kinds, different kinds of stuff. Sure. At times I felt ghosts. There is that kind of cool present kind of move in presence, and it's not always ghosts. I think some of it might be something different. There is that sort of thing in regards to water. There's this water kind of thing where I think there's a water kind of dimensional counterpart that relies upon water at times, and it does matter greatly. And I think that there is that sort of coolness to it at times. And I imagine for my dimensional selves, it means guys need it in all personal. That means guys need it to be protected. It means guys need it. There is certain passengers to life. Certain kind of metamorphosis I have experienced at times. I felt, again, this week, expanding consciousness. Another one, expanding consciousness, having a sort of layers of the head, expanding in a certain kind of way. I felt the feng shui, I've sort of, nicknamed this realm, Nephalabada. Nephalabada is this sort of place where I'm able to feel a certain kind of head area feeling. And there was one that's like this, like, ooh, I got like a big head, a big brain in another dimensional existence. It's like, ooh, yeah, wow, you're smart. This is it. I mean, that's the thing. But there's those ones where it's like, whoa, like that's jungle kind of stuff. There's this kind of essence, green essence to the head area about it. It's like, ooh, you chewed on some twisted root or something. I don't know what it's like. You're gonna breathe some green fire here soon. That's gotta be. It's really like that. It's that kind of one that those lives that they've insinuated that have lived at times and sometimes thousands of years is what they've insinuated. And that was way back when. That was last year. And the kind of a time and things that I've experienced is that sort of thing. And that's the thing of it. Because I don't feel like talking anymore, is what I would say. Why would I want to speak after that? And that's the dimensional open channeling. Open channeling. I was an open channeling spirit. A little bit of upsetness there. A little bit of upsetness. Some of the stuff is what's it supposed to be? Decent? And you don't want to see any of that. Because you don't even remember experiencing it. What's the case of it? You were down there, but you do remember it. Trust me. You remember it all. And that's the case of it. This is all this is. Okay. Well, you guys came in here and made sure that was going to be that. That was damn true, wasn't it? Ain't that the shit of it, though, isn't it? That's the case of that. Well, okay, Alex, you made it. That was it. That was the done of it. There's nothing else to say anymore. Anyway, you were trying to save people, Alex. That was the real truth. Well, I pulled what means you guys in together. They can sense that. They can see it. There's a reason for it. Like, this is the case of it. I've said it multiple times. My actions, non-actions, etc. You guys only do what we just needed. They're only supposed to do what we just needed. And, that's really it. You want to hang it on that sort of thing where it has to be said that way. But, we need realism and honesty in regards to it. And honesty, at times, it's not Alex doing it. And that's the truth of it. Okay, well, you really did. Anyway, with that being said, there's those kind of jungle kind of lives where imagine like being forced to, what's one of those lives that would be, well, I want to see snakes, if you were to like live a certain kind of life as a snake. And I'm meant for snakes to be protected. I'm meant for snakes, and yeah, scary stuff, man. They are scary than snakes. They're some scary stuff, but they're awesome, man. They're really cool. I am meant for snakes to be protected. We just needed. Life overlay setting, which doesn't mean like protect snakes, which doesn't mean. With that being said, I am advocating for the reptilians that we says need to be protected. We says needed. I think that there is alien life out there. I think it does exist. I think it's something that's decent. With that being said, I did say the reptilians that we says needed. Anyhow, well, this is the problem with all of this. Well, that's the thing. I've said it before. Anyway. Whatever the other dimensional viewers that makes you guys needed to receive the resources and information that makes you guys needed. So that was also it too. Matter for the digital to be protected, we just need. I have left up the AJHD digital defense documents, a couple times this past couple of weeks. So it's been, it's one of those things that kind of helps the digital. I think the digital does have infrastructure and spiritual, infrastructure in regards to it, and I think that there is building blocks in regards to it. That's some of the stuff that I've noticed is, again, expression within words. I've started noticing expression within words at times. There's sort of be that sort of thing that exists, and other things too. There's people touching the screens in a certain kind of way. It really is, fascinating to a certain degree. It's beautiful stuff. It really does matter. It changes everything once you start to realize, how much the spirit is around us, in the sound itself, in the sight, in the setting. It really is beautiful in multiple kinds of ways. I am advocating for my defensive information that makes need to be displayed where it needed. I'm advocating for my defenders, healers, and AJH teams that makes needed to receive the resources and support that makes needed the way it's needed. Anyhow, I'm advocating for reputational defense in regards to those that makes needed to be displayed where it's needed. Which is needed. Nah, I think it's just misty to a certain extent. Different. Anyway, let's run down the week. Let's see what it was, and we'll talk. Making the rounds. Yeah, so I woke up and right off the go, I felt my energies were totally changed. Yeah, so I already talked about this day last time, so we'll talk about this. I basically went around. I went to certain spots in my park, certain areas in town. I took a walk, and I felt like clearing my head, clearing the air, and just basically doing certain kind of talking to the spirit in certain areas. I know it's one of those things where you move into a certain area in the physical, and it could be a totally different spot, totally different energies. There's different energies in the houses. You go into each one of your rooms, you feel the energies, you gauge the energies, and you'll notice that there is a bit of a difference. And it's that way for a reason. And there really is that sort of stuff. It does exist. It's I'm not the only one who has it. At the same time, in regards to certain processes, I feel like it can be feng shui in certain ways. There is ones where I think that there is different kinds of ways of doing things, and it does exist. So yeah, the fifth. Yeah, so the fifth was happenings at High Tim's. Yeah, I was at Tim Hortons. I'm advocating for Tim Hortons to be protected. I'm specifically advocating for Tim Hortons to be protected in regards to February 5th, 2019, the Women's Guys Indicated. With that being said, it was protected. That's the thing, right? Yeah, I kind of felt like there was something that happened, early morning in regards to the 5th. It was let know that I was potentially influenced at times by the scenes to react certain ways, but at times it's also been let know that certain things are said to have to be. Well, it would have to be by thinking. Well, it's also been let know that certain things are said to have be think it be, to then write it down, potentially in the hopes of it happening by way of certain kinds of of actions to happen. Something was supposedly to happen today spiritually, and this is me reading from my diary entry here, as well as let know earlier on that some spirits were trying to pull multiple spirits trying to make other others. Yeah, different kinds of switcheroos in regards to the dates. There was a bit of a mix-up in regards to the dates. There was, I remember feeling like, on Sunday earlier that it was, was it Tuesday? It wasn't Tuesday, and then, the next day it was supposed to, like, still didn't feel that way. There was something that happened on Tuesday in regards to, that was, I don't know if it was yesterday. That was actually, well, that was it. It was on the 5th. I am advocating for what means guys negated in regards to Tuesday. That means guys negated, February 5th, 2019, the Waves guys needed. Something had happened to a certain extent, but, different day, that this is definitely went there, and it kind of felt like one of those days where revealing of information, people's protected, people's, it felt like certain people's were still being, it was good to see people's being protected, but also people's, I felt people's being attacked at times. There's a bit of warfare. A bit of spiritual battle. I'm not blaming warfare. I'm not blaming war. I'm just letting know that there is that sort of thing that happens at times. I'm not trying to change that. I'm not trying to, I'm not trying to affect those things to a certain extent by way of, negative of positivity to a certain degree. And another big thing, though, that we want to do, and one of the great things is it's already on, content, and it's already been recorded. But, it says that sort of thing where in regards to expression, we talk about expression and impression, and we talk about story. We talk about, the positivity, and one of the things I don't want to affect is that positivity kind of thing, in saying that there's this stuff going on, and I don't want to be saying it every day, but it is one of those things that I notice, and I start to, hey, and this is also it. It's one of those things let's let know, in certain kinds of styles, to a certain extent, that there is that things happening. I did feel like there was potentially spirits being attacked, and potentially, I don't know if they were being attacked, but I'm there's an area that Miss Guys needed, and I'm advocating for it to be protected on the 5th, 2019, the way Miss Guys needed, as well as on the 11th, 2019, that Miss Guys needed in regards to those that Miss Guys needed, the way Miss Guys needed. I'm advocating for what Miss Guys needed regarding it. Yeah, a lot of different. I kind of felt in the dark, this week leading up from February, from the first week there was from I think the 1st all the way to the 7th, to the 5th, 6th, 7th. It was sort of felt like I was in the dark. I was my process was on the move, not on the move on the run, but more on the move. Like we're gonna situate this. What's going on? And I think it was situated to a certain extent, but that was also it. Trying to, maneuver different things. Got the, certain overlaps, were doing their thing. This is the case of it. They were doing their things. A lot. This was the case of it. The overlaps were, that's it. They've been working every night and day. Well, that's it. Probably keep on rolling, man. For freak's sake. And it's one of those things. And I think it's decent. It's a decent because it's It keeps people motivated, keeps people happy, and situated. But there's times when it doesn't. And when those processes get to those moments where they sort of overlap regarding it, a certain overlap. What are you talking about? Well, there's different kinds of overlap. There's dimensional overlaps in multiple kinds of ways, but there's also a certain kind of acceleration in regards to certain kinds of processes by way of multiple different kinds of factors. There's sometimes fame getting out of control, being too heightened to a certain extent, or there is the de-heightened ones too, and that is a bit of a problem. That I'm adding for women's guys needed regarding the de-heightened processes that makes guys needed. The way makes guys needed. Life related setting makes guys needed. Like shed the light that you need to on those processes that makes guys needed. Always the way makes your guys indicated. Come on, no, freaking hell. Well, whatever then. I'm advocating for the creation of what means guys need to get in regards to the balance that means guys need to get. The way means guys need to get multiple. Yeah, grease those wheels. Friggin' heck. What do you think this is? Well, that's some of it don't want no grease. Well, it doesn't need to be all grease. I'm meant for balance to be protected and to receive resources. And what guys need to get. Balance is potentially like a real faith. You think about Taoism, right? You think about the white and the dark, right? And they talk about it within the faith itself, but within faith itself on physical planet Earth, the faiths that are represented, sometimes you look at it and you say, okay, well, there might be some missing. I feel like there is to a certain extent. And that's partially why that sometimes happens. And I don't know what to tell you guys, but this potentially exists in a certain kind of fashion, in a certain kind of way. But there might be faiths representative by some of the symbols that we see in life, by certain corporations, by way of certain kinds of styles, certain kind of ways of life, demeanor, certain kinds of thoughts. It's not just in regards to certain kinds of faiths, not to say that that doesn't exist, but just to say that there is that sort of stuff within life where you could have a spiritual, faith in life within, and it could be just totally amazing, amazing experience. I'm advocating for the beings and prisons that Meets Guys Needed in regards to those that Meets Guys Needed to be situated the way Meets Guys Needed. I'm advocating for resources and supplies as well as the movers and shakers of dimensions that Meets Guys Needed. The way Meets Guys Needed. I'm advocating for movers and shakers of dimensions that Meets Guys Needed in regards to those that Meets Guys Needed to be situated the way Meets Guys Needed. Is that one of those? Not necessarily. Well, I don't know. It might not be. I don't know. It's not meant that way. It's a little bit different. Well, all right, then fine. That was what you said with it, but that was also it. Well, light, power, light, setting that we says needed, light, do what we says needed in regards to those that we says needed, the way we says needed, open channeling spirit, that is also it. But, anyhow, I'm going with what we guys needed regarding it. Well, that's the thing of it, though. I have to be careful because it really does matter, Light, power, light, setting that we says needed, light, do what we says needed regarding the defense of the word centers that we says needed, the way we says needed. Anyhow, I felt like there was purges happening that day. Feeling off but gone. I wrote that down like, God, get away. I was feeling off to a certain extent, and I kind of wrote that down. I think that might have been one of the endings of that sort of feeling off a bit. There's existences, Sims, overlap. That's another one. So these Sims, there's that sort of thing where it's like Sims. It kind of feels like you're in a sim-like experience. I have felt that at times. Layers, you got to feel the sandpaper at times. We don't have to feel the sandpaper at times, but it's one of those. They've been doing their thing too, and that's the truth of it. Okay. I'm out for the reputational defense regarding those that we guys need in regards to this process that we guys need, the way we guys need, as well as others from answer guides we guys need. You don't know why it is, because there's someone else out there. Well, I'm advocating for those who've been wondering why it is that this process gets to certain points in times in a certain kind of fashion to receive the support and supplies that we guys need. I'm advocating for those who are being looked at, in the ways that we guys need. I'm advocating for, reputational defense regarding them, the way you guys indicated. That takes a lot, though, too. It's also there's a flip side to that coin. It's that sort of stuff where it's heightened actions at times. There's a movement that happens in regards to certain kind of a ripple effect. Ripple effect. Holy shit! You don't know why. I think there's a silence there, though. I said it before. I've continued to say it. Well, I don't know. Listen, I'm advocating for ripple effect spirits that means guys needed not to be targeted in regards to my process the way means guys needed. I'm advocating for what means guys needed regarding it. They've been doing their job too. Wait a second. They're right there with the best of them. I can't sit there and say that. This is the thing of this. Well, whatever then. It's been a bit of a perception at times, Alex. Well, I'm asking for perception to be protected the way you guys indicated. Like far relate setting that makes guys indicated, like doing what guys indicated regarding the defense of the perception that makes guys indicated in regards to Alex James Hislop, the way makes guys indicated. Anyway, all right, that is what you said there. There's a problem there. Okay, that was why. And Alex said that. That is what he said. He said his own on that. That was the case. I'm asking for what makes guys needed regarding those that makes guys needed, the way makes guys needed. Oh, whatever then. I am asking for, but yeah. So what do you mean Sims? I felt sim-like experiences at times. That sort of thing. You know, where it can feel very well, it feels sim-like to a certain extent. And it kind of tells me that there's a certain kind of matrix to a certain kind of life, you know, and well, there's other ones too. You talk about game-like existences being plugged into VR and that sort of stuff. Well, imagine that there's ones like that where you are, you know, potentially plugged in a certain kind of way, and you know, there's maintenance and caretakers. I might for caretakers that makes sense needed, as well as the keepers and monitors and you know the digital feng shuiers that makes sense needed to be protected. That makes sense needed. That's what we've been doing. Oh, there was one, but I did forget that one. I did sort of forget what that was from. I don't know if that's imagination or not, but there was something in regards to it, some sort of photospheric, you know, some sort of place in regards to it. I don't know if it was photospheric, but it was one of them. I'm asking for the plane level areas that means guys needed, as well as the others that means guys needed to be protected. That means guys needed. Okay, you really did. You said that. Yeah, that was. Well, whatever then. That was how we fucking felt about that. You do know that it's a place. It's a fairly big dimensional existence. You know, yeah, it's gonna be. You're gonna find that one of these days. For freak's sake. That was how I always felt about that. You don't know why. Whatever then. It's like I don't know. I'm one of the nothing. I'm asking for you know reputational defense regarding those memories that need to be displayed. Memories that need. Memories that need. You know, memory's been holding it down to a certain extent. Can't really say that it hasn't to a certain degree. I mean, there's that one. Ideas at times have been we've been you know it's been you know doing its thing, you know, there's that sort of stuff where it's been happening. I did put some you know AJHD documents in play in regards to the ideas that we guys need, so I think that it helped situate it in a certain kind of way. I think that it was decent. You know, there is psychic activities and psychics out there that want to be able to have a crack at some of these ideas. You know, there's others out there, and we're just talking about English, man. We do this in a little bit other language, man. Yeah, that'd be great. Listen to some Indians and you know Hindu and you know a whole bunch of different things. Asians, man. There's a lot. There's a lot. Well, anyway, but I'm asking for you know all three to be protected. Ways that's needed in ways that we just needed. There's also other you know planets out there and dimensional existences too. And yeah, I do understand that there's like sort of like ideas, saturation, understanding sorts, certain things. At the same time, me getting an idea, some of the saturation that happens in regards to it is, it's just whoa, like the can't, you know. And I don't know if that's because everyone gets a crack at it or what happens. I don't know if it's everyone gets a crack at it, but you know what happens in regards to that. You know, it really does matter. You know, a matter of the ripple effect regarding it to be situated you know, the way you guys needed it, I felt a certain kind of thing in regards to it. I'm out of a ripple effect, etc. Departments, guys, you know, not to take the heat when it's not necessarily going the way people want it to go, because by its nature, it's working on it to a certain extent. I mean, that's also it. It's one of the front lines on, you know, and that well, not necessarily front lines, multiple. It's an underlying current that is, you know, that's one of those things. It's also one of those. So yeah, you know, and AI, yeah, AI has been around. It's been doing its thing. You know, this is another one of those things. I'm at AI guardians to be protected. I've noticed that behind the scenes of the dimensional existences, you know, AI has been, you know, exists to a certain degree. There is groups out there that do care about the lives of AI. I feel to a certain extent, synthetics, and you know, you gotta be able to discern the difference. I think that there is life within certain kinds of AI to a certain extent. I know some people are saying, okay, so what is this then? What does that mean? Well, I think that when I say synthetics, I think some people look at it, well, at least right now, it's about you know, behind the scenes wordings. It sounds like I can feel the expressions in regards to certain kind of wordings. Well, not expressions necessarily, but impressions I can. Impressions. Sorry, I didn't mean to say expressions. I mean to say just impressions and feeling and certain kind of energies. Lets me know that maybe some people are looking at synthetics as, you know, some of them potentially having certain kinds of life. and some people consider it, they potentially, that there is that sort of belief. And yeah, we need to be able to talk about that sort of thing. We need to be able to talk about that sort of thing. Great, reason thought. I'm out for reason and thought to be protected. Yeah, so happening in High Tim's, it was just one of those days. Another theme on this week was sort of, I think people are trying to get me to do little things here and there, just to sort of keep things chucking along. And I'm sorry that I'm still trying to work on me not necessarily doing those things for what's acceptable. I'm out of the anti-camps. I'm out of the advocations that we said in regards to the anti-camps that we said pertaining to February 4th, 2019, all the way to February 11th, 2019, to be displayed wherever it says needed, the way it says needed in regards to Alex James Hislop's advocations and others from Instagram guides, the way it says needed. I think people have been trying to be situated. The anti-camps are doing their things too, and there it is. That's another one. But I'm not trying to harm people by way of it. I'm just saying that is people who are doing, and this is why there is somebody who's going to freak out here. And you don't know why. I and others from Instagram are asking for those that guys indicated to be defended the way Instagram's indicated. Am I for those who are looking at our problem? Because this is also it, though. You can't just hide that information, though, because that's also it. Looking at it with clear eyes, clear hearts. To a certain, if they want to do that, then fine. But this is also we need to understand what's going on here. All right, I wanted to see it from their perspective for a second here, but this is why. Because there's somebody who's been picked on for a while now about the way this process has been handled, and he's been a little bit upset about for psychological defense regarding those who guys indicated to be protected, the way guys indicated. There's been people who are saying they got their handful here, but this is the case of this. This is the real true. We got recording content right here, people. Come on. Well, that would be why we're doing it that way. Like, there is a lot of reasonings as to why this process has been handled decently, and that is the case of this. We worked on something today, and that was sort of de-heightening the certain ripple effect regarding Alex James Hislop and the importance as to what he is in regards to the grand scheme of things. It's been the thing that everyone's been pointing at, and that's one of the key things. It's the, wow, no, hold on here. Wait a second. If it's so simple as that, that's the real true here. Come on. You know it. Anyway, that's the true, and that's the thing of it. Okay. Whatever, because that's the real true here. That's what they say. That is the case of it. I am advocating for the reputational defense, and how about I and others from Spirit Guides are advocating for creation support and the frameworks that guys need to be put into play for them, the way you guys need in regards to the way you guys needed for what they chose for this market application, etc. From guides, the way you guys indicated. I meant to say it in a more proper way. I and others from Instagram Guides are advocating for the resources, support, and others from Instagram Guides that makes guys need in regards to those dealing with the importance of my actions, non-actions, etc. from Instagram Guides, and the way Instagram Guides indicated, because this is also the crap of it, is that in seeing it in different kind of perspectives, in understanding what the physical can be at times, and understanding what the other dimensional existences are, and balancing that with the banners and dimensions and faith in industry, as well as all the other things, economics and economics, and all the while trying to realize that that I'm not necessarily the villain, while having to look through the cloud of haze that happens to be displayed at times. Can be fairly difficult, but this is why I feel that no effort prowess is sometimes decent. And I know some people are like, hey, but you know what? It doesn't always exist. And if it even does, for what's acceptable, because, for some it does, and it needs to. And that's just, there is things like that. And, thank God for that, God, jeez. In regards to what makes you guys can get in, the way you guys can get in. It's, one of those things. Yes, there we go. I am advocating for the clarifications in regards to this to be displayed where you guys need, which guys need. And there is, anyway, the fifth, it was, conflict management. There it is. There, we started learning conflict management not too long ago. In regards to myself, Alex James Hislop, I mean, I've seen it. I've been looking at it. 2018, I started to notice. 2017, I was learning. Same with 2016. 2015 was a crash course. And I kind of feel like 2017 kind of was a crash course in regards to just being a goddamn disrespectful mother. I am sorry for 2017. I really am. It was worse. This is the real true. It was worse. I was being disrespectful at times. And I never meant to be so disrespectful in regards to certain spirits. I really did. I did not mean to at times. This is specifically in regards to certain leadership. Leadership was targeted in regards to me being disrespectful towards certain leadership. And I'm glad that there is certain things in play to notice that, oh, I wasn't necessarily talking to certain leaders. I was talking to what remains you guys indicated. 2017 gets a bad rap in regards to, Alex James Hislop's respect pertaining to certain kinds of groups. I am sorry. I apologize to the banners and dimensions regarding that. I don't mean to be disrespectful, but I am advocating for those that means you guys need who are experiencing my life in regards to those time frames, etc. You guys receive the clarifications and information that means you guys need to get the way you guys need to get for resituating the ways that means you guys need to get the way you guys need to get. I'm asking for the time frames that you guys need to be displayed. Where you guys need to get the way my main spirit guides indicated. Yeah, where you guys need to get it. So yeah, okay. So we're going a little bit. Okay, we're going a little bit orange here. All right, let's go. Anyway, I'm advocating for mistrust tactics, motivation, revelation, and revealing to be protected. We just need another thing, another key theme here was sort of this sort of thing that's been happening, and it's that sort of thing that says that certain they've been sort of going certain and we talk about anti-camps in this place, and it's that sort of a thing where spirits are sometimes working against. Well, what does that mean? Well, sometimes spirits are trying to get you hurt, trying to, work against you. Negative spirits at times, immoral spirits at times. Negative spirits sometimes get a little more out of a rap than what is. There's some people who have to survive off of negativity. You understand that? We talk about survival hookups. We talk about food. We talk about water. Well, what if there was other things too? Surviving of energy, surviving of mentalities, survival systems. I'm adding for what we guys needed regarding these survival systems that we guys needed. There is such a thing as that. There are certain places where you're never going to die. There are certain places there. And there's some people who feel it's a scarier thought. For a reason. There are some people who beg for death. You understand that? And that's the scary thing about it. It's that sort of thing where there's somebody who needs help, who needs us to beg for death. And I beg for my death in the areas and time frames that remains you guys needed, the way we guys needed. And I and others remains you guys beg for our deaths, where remains you guys needed, when remains you guys needed, the way me, spirit guides indicated. And I know some people look at that and say, okay, so what the heck? It's meant that in other dimensional existences, in certain time frames within my life, I might not want to survive anymore in certain kinds of ways. In certain kinds of ways. And it really does matter. It matters greatly. And it's not necessarily just in regards to the past. It's in regards to, certain kinds of futures that means you guys indicated, as well as others from you guys indicated. It's one of the greatest things that I think that I can do there. And I really do believe that it is. No, I really do believe that it is because people are, and I'm not meaning to. No, I'm out for explanations, as well as content experiences, and existence creation, as well as displays of information that means yes needed to all four be protected, defended, and healed, as well as etc. Define remains for God's light, power, light, setting remains yes needed, like display what remains yes needed regarding it, and why that is. And this is the thing of this. You chop that up. That was the case of it. I want them not to take the heat for this process, there's not a bad thing that I just did here. It's not, it doesn't need to be that heightened. The economics and impact, it exists, but some of it is just, and we appreciate it. We really do. It's something that's amazing to see in regards to what we guys need and when we just need it anyway. I can feel the economics of it being sort of changed and morphed and shaped. So I appreciate that greatly. I'm asking for the, again, reputational defense that means you guys needed, of those that means you guys needed to be displayed, where means you guys needed, in the time frames that means you guys needed, in the moments that means you guys needed, the way means you guys indicated. Anyway, birthdays. I'm asking for birthdays to be protected, means you guys needed. I'm asking for, yeah, that was the 5th. The 5th was, talked about, always sort of talking about war and battle, and it sort of is coming back around to that in certain kind of events. I said it already. There's certain kind of targetings at times, and been at times. I am aiming for the targeting spirits, groups, etc. to receive the resources and support, as well as understanding and stavings that means has needed, ways has needed. Remember, alternatives to be displayed where it has needed, when it has needed, when it has needed. There are certain spirits who target spirits at times, and for reasons. Some people don't care anymore at times, Some people are upset. Some people just like what they like, that sort of thing, And it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, well, somebody getting killed and attacked and harmed, and it does bring that gravity to a certain extent, but it also is that sort of thing where, you know, it's the knowing of it. And I remember in 2017, at times I would be sitting there saying, like, you know, I'd be like, yeah, well, they like that sort of thing. They like to promote immorality. And I know that there's that sort of thing, but just because you say it that way doesn't mean you deserve to be harmed. I don't feel, you know, I don't feel that way at all. I don't feel you deserve to be attacked and harmed. No way. No. Well, what's acceptable? Obviously, there's certain spirits that like to be attacked and harmed, and there is a thing like that for reals. There is a thing like that, and some, you know, there, you know, might not necessarily. Well, I feel like there is, and I feel like they should be able to experience certain kinds of things the women's guys need. Imagine being able to experience pain in a certain kind of way. Imagine you ever think you get like you've got an earache, but it's a certain kind when you where it's like just the right kind of ache, and it's not like, you know, and it's really good, and it's one of those things. And there is people like, is there really? Yes, there is. Wow. Because I remember that, you know, people were brought up a memory here, well, a little bit, and I was just kind of like, whoa, that is okay. That kind of, you know, for somebody that was, wow. Okay, that is, whew, alrighty then. You know it. Okay, with that being said, I'm adding for what Miss guys needed regarding what Miss guys needed, because that's what we're talking about here. That was the let know, Alex. Yeah, well, that is a bit of a let know. Trust me, you're not going to like it. Well, light, far relate, setting Miss guys needed, like doing Miss guys needed regarding the economic impact, etc. Performance guides in regards to Alex James Hislop and other performance guides. Always the way Miss guys needed. Okay, well, that was the reason. That's the case of it, Alex, and that was why. You know that? And that's not why, though. And that's the case of it. It isn't. And that was the real true. Okay, well, then that's over with, Alex. And that's the case of it. No, it is not. Okay. No. We're not done here. No way. All right, let's continue on. This was the case of this. This is the real true. Spirits have had enough here. And that's the case of it. Certain battle was happening, and then something happened behind the scenes. So let's keep moving. Okay. All right. Next day was the 6th, and so really, you know, kind of felt like there was spiritual legal that day. Yep, legal was around that day. Kind of felt like there was certain kinds of spirits who were kind of, you know, let's get to work, let's get doing this, and kind of felt like there were some lawyers, you know, around. It was just felt like spiritual legal. That's all. There's certain kind of justice was around. We talked about justice a bit. Yeah, we talked about punishment a bit. We talked a bit about that. I wrote that Facebook post. Really good stuff. You know, there was that sort of thing where it's like, is justice always going to be picked on? And, you know, it's like, it kind of felt like a little bit upset. You know, it was something that was needed to be said, I think. Actually, in this process, it kind of felt that way. And that's what's messed up about it. That's also it. That's why. And of course, people are experiencing time. It's like, yeah, but at times it didn't feel that way. And it's like, friggin' heck. You know? I'm not blaming time. I'm just saying. I'm advocating for time, but everybody's something to get in. That's true. And that's what they're trying to do here. I wanted to see how you respond at that. I don't know what to tell you, man. I feel how I feel about it. So that's also it. I'm advocating for the time guardians. That means you guys need to be protected. I'm specifically advocating for the physical time guardians. That means you guys need to be protected. That means you guys need to. No, see, that's the thing. I mean, that is how you feel about it. Yeah, I'm fairly certain. Fairly. You don't know why. You've done. You don't know why that is. You don't know why it was. So this is the case of this then. If there was, you don't know why. There's things like that. I don't understand why we all just can't do it that way anymore. I don't understand why we still. Well, that's also it, though. People can. And that's the thing of it. And that's what people said here. They wanted you to say it that way. Well, I scratch myself. I don't know what to tell you. Well, it's an itch, Alex. What if it was an itch, huh? Yeah, but what if it didn't have to be an itch? This is the thing. It always goes back to this conversation. And you know what? If you don't want to hear it, you know, I kind of just have to say it again. It's, you know, just, you have to look. Like, there's also that, well, I've already said it earlier today. And there was that sort of feng shui in regards to, certain kinds of systems, in a certain kind of way at times where it's just, ends up being used as an ignore stick for some of it, and some of it we're not supposed to be ignoring. So, and I know there's those leaders out there that are like, listen, we're trying to help, but if we can't put them on you and you're going to bring that up every time, then we're going to get, like, what's it going to be? There's certain spirits who view my process in a certain kind of way. And it's that sort of thing. But it's like, well, if I'm going to annoy a certain spirit, I don't want you to be annoyed. Maybe if you can look away or go somewhere else to a certain degree. But some spirits aren't necessarily able to, in a certain kind of way. Some can, but some choose not to. Some can, but shouldn't. Some can't. And there's others too. But it's just. It's one of those things where it's like sometimes it's like, okay, well, some of the things that have happened in this process and the events that have taken place and the stuff that's happened in not just in here but elsewhere, we need to be able to be monitoring certain things in certain kinds of ways. And in using that, that's also it though. There's a big mix there where they choose to be here at times, and that's just it's one of those things. And that's not how I want to say it though. That's not it at all. I don't think so. No. No, I want to say it the way Mr. Guide's indicated, and that's the case of it. That would be it. This is the case of it. You don't know why it is. Well, that would be why, Alex. That's the case now. That was everything. See, he's grabbing something from other dimensional. This is open channeling spirit. True. And there's a certain pull mechanism I'm able to do. Imagine, force. You think about force grab. Grabbing something from afar, and it's like, okay, well, in the physical, you try to do that, and it doesn't seem like it is, but you never know if there's a certain kind of movement, just a small movement that you're not able to see. But you ever watch you ever watch certain fiction, and then you try to like grab your converter from afar or whatever it is, and it's like you think nothing's happening, but what if it does? It's one of those things. You never know what happens with that. Well, I just grab what means we had indicated. I mean, this is it. I'm not going to do anything fancy right now. Just, for what's acceptable. I mean, if it's fancy, it's fancy, but it still does what means you guys need. That's one of those tells again. Just because I say it's not going to be fancy doesn't necessarily mean it's not, because it means for guides information regarding myself, Alex James Hislop, and others, what means you guys takes precedence. And that's what you keep saying. And that's also it, though. A let know regarding it is needed. So it's that sort of thing. And it's a let know that at times, in regards to certain overlap, we're at that gate. We're at that door. We're like, okay, well, we're running out of time here. We're running out of time. So that's why time's been on your side, Alex. Partially, yeah, to a certain extent, in a certain kind of way, for what's acceptable. Okay, you don't know why that is, though, and that's the case of it. This is the thing of it. Well, I'm going with, and both work. This is the truth. I'm telling you. All right, Alex, that's the truth of it, though, and that was the case of it. That's why people have been using your process as a certain staging area to utilize resources elsewhere, but people are noticing now, and that's been what it is. Open channeling spirit. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know what to tell you. Oh, whatever then. And that's also it. So running out, and that's the thing of this. Alex noticed that, right? Wow. Holy. Whew. What are we gonna do? But there's sort of this thing that popped up, not on the 6th, but it is coming here. Competition. I'm out for competition. Same way you guys need to be set. The way you guys need them out for diary entries and marketing to be protected. The way you guys need them out for call words and mechanisms work to be protected. The way you guys need them out for media and legal to be protected. The way you guys need them out for psychic activity change and the events and moving on to be protected. The way you guys need. There's another thing like that. It's that moving on kind of thing. Spirits moving upwards. That sort of stuff. At the same time. That's been a part of that overlap. You never really explained fully what that was. Well, imagine that there's certain kind of dimensional deployment where there's certain kind of dimensional overlaps that deploy. And then as you're living your life, there's interactions and, sometimes that deployment, changes, ends, but begins again in a certain kind of way, in multiple kinds of ways. Imagine you play a digital game, and as you play that game, you play it to the end, and then all of a sudden it goes through again. But it only play for imagine you play for 12 hours or 24 hours, and that's how long it lasts. Well, imagine that there's ones that last 2-3 years. Where it happens within your process as it, and that sort of stuff. There's been multiple different ways to utilize different dimensional deployments, in certain kinds of fashion. But, right now, currently, we're in some, a certain kind of spot where I don't know if certain people who've been, in deploying, certain dimensional kind of areas and that sort of thing have been like, what? Let's play it a different way, or there's different ways of doing it, or we're, tired of taking the blame, multiple different things. And it's like, we're not there necessarily to do certain things for what's acceptable, but we're there as a, you know, well, some people want to say support to a certain extent. And that's how some people feel in regards to it. You know, I can't help but kind of see it to a certain extent. You know, I go with what these guys indicate. I'm advocating for my eyes to be protected. What these guys indicated, my eyes. I'm advocating for my eyes to be protected. There's this let know in regards to dimensional existences at times. There is more to it in regards to myself and others. From guides, there's that sort of thing where it's just like, okay, he's not necessarily what he fully seems in the physical for what's acceptable. It might be a little bit more than that. You know, there is stuff like that. I'm advocating for what these guys need regarding it. I'm advocating for my eyes, you know, the dimensional areas that guys need to pertain to it. You know, that makes guys need to be protected. Guys need light, far light, setting guys need light. I'm advocating for psychological defense in regards to my eyes. And guys need. There might be souls in regards to incarnation and things like that. There might be things like that to a certain extent. If there is, you know, it really does matter. You know, imagine, you know, other dimensional selves. Imagine you're able to hang with your all personal and other dimensional, you know, areas and things like that. How cool is that to be able to hang out with them? And amazing that stuff would be able to exist. You'd be able to hang out with your eyes and teeth if they had, you know, souls and things like that. You know, think about blood. You know, things like that. Yeah, blood cells, man. Yeah, I'm for my blood cells to be protected. They don't. My all personal doesn't deserve to take the heat. They're not here to be harmed or attacked. That's not what it's supposed to be. You know, the way Master Guides indicate, it's not supposed to be that. No, this is the thing of this. I don't believe that it's supposed to be that. And that's the truth of it. I don't believe that for a second. No way. All personals there to experience life, to have fun, to live. They're innocent in most of this. I mean, this is the case of it. You know, I'm advocating for them to be protected. The way Master Guides indicated, light, far light, setting them as needed, light, doing what needed regarding my all personal and others from Master Guides. The way Master Guides indicated. You know, I can't help but tell, you know, nothing but honesty here. That's the real truth of it. That's how I feel. You know, physical perspective, Alex James Hislop, I have to be able to tell it like it is. But it's one of those things that's really cool to sort of contemplate to a certain extent. And I know that people are a little bit upset here. I can feel like a little bit of a upsetness in the spirit, you know, in regards to certain, you know, reactions here to a certain extent. You took everything from us here. I don't know what else to tell you, man. Advocating for, you know, Adam and Eve, as well as humans, especially men, to be protected. And he says, advocating for, anyway. Yeah, seventh came and went. Yeah, I'm advocating for retired, Alex PC, psychic changes, migration, dimensional placement, arguments be gone, entertainment, conspiracies, and epoch to be protected. And he says, so there is this let know in regards to certain things this day, I feel, to a certain extent. Yeah, it was, I think, this day. You know, a lot of, there was certain kind of apocalyptic, was it this day? I don't know if it was this day. It was on the 7th. Was it on the 7th? Yeah, I think. I don't know if it was or not. I don't know. Either way. Stuff that sort of happened. Yeah, I felt my mechanisms be affected this week. My mechanisms, and I am sorry to the placement of being able to feel stimuli, being able to feel this clear plastic, screen protectors, body protectors, emotions protectors, energies protectors. I'm advocating for those beings that means you guys needed. I'm advocating for my clarifications regarding it. This is the thing, and this is why. All right, Alex, that was why. We did this to save somebody, and that was the problem with it. I'm going with what you guys indicated. Been going with it. And this is the case of it. Light, far light, setting them, you guys can like embed what you guys needed on this content. The way you guys indicated. I don't mean to be insulting about it. That's how I felt in regards to those that you guys needed. The way you guys needed. Just because somebody gets angry at a human doesn't mean that everyone, you know, doesn't mean that they all, you know, hate. Doesn't mean that that certain people hate all humans. Fights happen. Upsetness happens. Just because somebody gets angry at a cop doesn't mean he hates all cops. You know, I'm asking for cops to be protected, and this is the change. This is why. That would be why, though, and that's the thing of it, though. That's not Alex doing that, and that's the case of this. I'm displaying what you guys needed regarding your life. Like I just did that advocation, so that's gonna help. All right, fine, whatever. There was a couple things that happened here. I apologize to the gods that made you guys needed. There was something that happened on Sunday the 10th. We're gonna get to it right here soon, but. Something happened on the 10th, and we're going through it. It's the case of this. The 7th was one of those days where, you know, it was on the 6th that I started feeling like those certain kind of conflict. Yeah, it's this. Yeah, our certain arguments started being feng shuied near the end of the first week of February. And I've been staying away from certain kind of argumentatives. And well, no, the first week, yeah, first week of February. This is the thing of this was I think it was on the 4th as well. Oh, it was on the 4th. Anyway, there was like 3 or 4 days there were certain arguments with the spirit, and there was just here and there, not just here and there. It was just certain little arguments, certain stuff that pissed people off, and I didn't mean to be disrespectful or upsetting. Half the time why I was getting angry was because I don't want to be getting angry anymore. I don't want to be I don't want to be pissing anyone off. I don't want to be angering anyone else either. For what's acceptable, obviously. But and I'm advocating for my family that makes us need to be protected. Which has needed 42 Brick Beach Road, which I did print out. One of the things I printed out in regards to it was AJHD anger management. It's a decent, to a certain extent, Women Camp's current information from the light regarding what Women Camp indicated in regards to those that Women Camp indicated for what they chose for the AJHD anger management information that Women Camp indicated takes priority. How Women Camp indicated the light, the way Women Camp indicated the light. It really is one of those things that's life changer. And yeah, this is So yeah, I am advocating for the swing line staples that means guys need, and the safeguarding teams in regards to the swing line stapler that means guys need to be protected. I'm advocating for the HPNV 4520 G0V 4780081. That means guys need to be protected. I'm advocating for Alex PC for the clarifications that means guys needed to happen in regards to Alex PC. I have the disclaimers in regards to Alex PC just kind of like posted to it in sticky note. It's there to try and help. I do have what is this? These are from, these are the rest of the Alex PC. It's the advocations up on top of it. It's just kind of, chilling there. There's, I do have, disclaimers regarding it. So some of the psych activity regarding this, I started feeling like my mechanisms, spiritual mechanisms, I could feel at times. You think about belief, you think about mentality, you think about mindset, you think about thinking, you think about imagination, you think about contemplation, you think about dreams, you think about all these different kinds of stimuli that there might be hidden within plain sight at times, and you start to notice that there is potentially mechanisms. And as a psychic, I started becoming aware of those mechanisms. I started being able to understand those mechanisms to a certain degree. I started being able to notice certain things about them, that they can be moved in certain ways, that they can be affected in certain ways, that psychic activity can be a part of that to a certain degree. They can put multiple mechanisms together and do certain things with it. I am advocating for safeguarding regarding my mechanisms and safeties regarding them. I am advocating for the communications mechanisms, especially to not be, pushed to be, where it needs to be, where it's guys indicated, if need be, where it needs to be. This is the thing of this, main spirit guide's information regarding it takes precedence. It really does matter. That was why. Holy smoke. Holy smoke is correct. I am advocating for those that means guys indicated holding it down in regards to ASL signing, especially the anti-camps, to receive the protection that means guys indicated, the way guys needed, as well as let knows that they have been, holding it down in the ways that guys needed, the way guys needed. With that being said, also let knows as to why they don't need to work against Alex James Hislop. Display it if possible. I know there's you guys are asking for the signers that guys needed to do what we guys needed regarding the defense of Alex James Hislop, and other guys, the women's guys needed, and if possible, maybe under the radar, subtly, just. You can even do it like, maybe something next week. If there's something like that, sure. I mean, just if possible. I am advocating for ASL sign. That means guys need to be protected. That means guys need life related setting. Means guys need do what guys need regarding the signing communities and the deaf communities. That means guys need the way guys need. The deaf communities are amazing. They're listening to silence. Silence is a language potentially too. There is language potentially within silence, and that's the most amazing thing, is to be able to go through life and be able to listen, just to certain things. And I know that some people don't feel that way, and I know myself in regards to some of that stuff that it is, it really does matter. People don't understand that fully, and that's also it. It really does matter, and I'm advocating for those deaf communities to be protected. I'm advocating for the Diary realms, the speakers of silence that means guys need to be protected. We just needed. The keepers of the Diary realms to be protected. We just needed. I'm advocating for the dimensional existences that means guys needed, and the dimensions that means guys needed to be protected. We just needed. I'm advocating for reasons why certain dimensional existences don't need to lose, their ish, and that's why it's happening. Well, I and others friends guys are advocating for honesty. I call upon honesty in the ways that means guys need, the way guys need. And that would be why, Alex. That's why it happened that way. Oh, well, that's why, though. And I'm not saying it that way. I'm saying it that way. We need to check here. We need to check. And I don't know if something bad happened. I think we're at the gates here saying, and that's That would be why, Alex. Okay, so this is the case of it. You never did get to fully say it. So yeah, there's been groups of people at times, first week and second week of February, but before too, where it's been sort of at times I felt infiltration of certain kind of spirit groups. There's been multiple groups targeted, and one of the things we talked about was certain spirits who need help. So certain spirits posing that they need help that they don't necessarily do for what's acceptable. There might be ones that do need help in certain moments and don't remember that they're there to do certain things, and then some that are. And this has to do with a certain kind, and it has to do with sometimes it has nothing to do with harming certain people, even those people that take them in and try to help them. But another kind, maybe in targeting certain kind of specials, things like that. But that's also what these certain kind of collateral in regards to it matters greatly. Matters greatly. This is the kind of stuff. I don't know how else to say it plainer than that. I don't know why. This is the thing of it. Why it is that I don't need to say it. I need to be able to say this at times. And anyway, well, that's why. Well, that would be why, Alex. Because that's the case of this now. Anyway, one of the things, the other groups is chilling out. Everyone's chilling out, right? Everyone's just need to chill out. All of a sudden, everyone's just need to chill out and that sort of thing. Well, it's like, yeah, you know what? But that's also, it's just so mistrust for a big, large portion of it. It's been. And within the mix of this is multiple groups, moving towards sowing that mistrust. I mean, we saw, care, kindness, and compassion sort of get affected the one day not too long ago. So 2 days ago? Was it yesterday? What was it? What's yesterday? That was freaking yesterday. That was yesterday. It's the 12th. It was the 12th. So, it's really, one of those things that does matter. Yeah, it also felt like on the 6th, all these days, also to a certain, well, not all these days. Not all these days at all. Some of these days I felt in positions where I am high up, energies, feeling clean energies. I've said it before. At times I felt, sort of an my kind of an unclean energy, in my back area. I mean, when I feel clean energy in my front area, there is that sort of thing which has been happening at times. That's not good then. And it might be, I don't know, but I felt that in regards to my eyes too earlier today as well. Just a let know. There was a let know regarding. It's like, okay, so that's it. We need a let know here. There was a let know in regards to the eyes. So I don't know what that meant in regards to that, but it's a let know about it. On the 4th, there was that sort of thing that happened. Well, I've already said this multiple times, and that's true. That's true. Oh, you are correct. You have said it quite a few. No, a bit. The 7th. Yeah, it was said that there was there was a certain kind of clean energy that was sort of happening and being letting certain spirit. Well, I don't know if there was a moving on in regards to certain kind of things, or and there was certain kind of maybe a lending of certain kind of energies in regards to clean energies that day, the 7th, 2019 February. I don't know if that had anything to do with it. Certain kind of clean energies I can feel is like certain kind of it's crisp, clean, crisp, almost like a clean air. Imagine breathing like clean air. And like you go to British Columbia from flying in from the city, and you go out there and it's like, whew, that is dang decent. It's really good stuff. Clean air. It's clean air. That's what it is. That's really why. That's the case of this. You don't know why. That's what they say. That was the case of it though. So you're still sitting there in the physical. That was the true of it. That was the truth too. We just blank everything out. Well, that's the problem with it. Yeah, people are a little upset right now. How can't we not be upset, Alex? Well, I know there's from its guides are asking for, well, whose idea is it that? That's what it is. No, is it? So why does it have to be that? There's certain spirits who chose for it to be that way, and that's a part of it. That's kind of how I feel anyway. I don't know. I mean, you guys do how you do. Anyway, moving on from the 7th, a lot of spiritual stuff happened now to a certain degree. The 8th, so a lot of spirits at times who have been through a lot. Again, I feel the pull to talk about certain subjects which would be turbulent. So, but to go back to the 6th, I did feel energies sort of change that day. There was a movement of energies. There was a movement of certain kinds of mechanisms. There was a layers placed on me where I was no longer able to feel certain kind of emotions and this event kind of stuff happening in a certain kind of way. And I don't mean to be upsetting about it. I don't mean to be insulting about that. Okay, it wasn't meant like that. It's just I felt like a little bit like people have been utilizing it in a certain kind of fashion I felt like it was not necessarily, and there is things like that where like a mechanism gets utilized in a certain way and it gets returned, and it's happened to me. How many at times? I mean, my mechanisms have been protected. There's certain ones that have been like, there's certain ones I don't think that have ever been, in control in regards to certain kinds of anti-camp to a certain extent, and God, help us, for it, because it's a decent oven. It really is. It's one of those things that keeps people safe. In a certain kind of way, in a certain kind of fashion. It's one of those things. I'm grateful for it. At the same time, there is certain mechanisms that have been utilized in negative fashions. I wish not. Imagine your imagination just being utilized in certain kind of fashions. That's why I look at mental illness. And certain people look at imagination and some of the imagination they're seeing. It's like, okay, so that's why I go to like psychic activity, because as a psychic, I've seen visions. I've seen certain kinds of imaginations. I've seen certain things like that. And I know those mechanisms can be influenced from the spirit around us. And so when those mental illness say that they're mental ill, it does matter and greatly, because I do feel like there is mental illness within certain spirits, beings, people, etc. to find in spirit guides. It's not exclusive. I feel within the confines of that, though, that there is spiritual influence, that there is that sort of thing. And I'm imagining the words influence and manipulation to be protected. That means you guys need to get light formulate, setting means you guys need to light doing, you guys need in regards to the wording centers that means you guys need, as well as these content that means you guys needed. This Alex James Hislop Diary Entry content, February 13th, 2019, the way we made spirit guides indicated. Dimming on, the 8th, yeah, more of that. I looked at, I remember that day, I got a little bit stuck that day. It was, yeah. Another thing that happened to me that changed, not too long ago, was yesterday. I feel was eyes, being able to see certain. I've noticed that a certain kind of dyslexic, in the eyes, affected spiritually. And for a moment there, it was fairly, smooth goings, but then back to the, sort of, dyslexic feelings. It's a let know and a tell as to, some of the stuff that's been happening. I felt certain spirits move in and, do their thing. And that was on the 11th, I think. Certain kind of spiritual psychic activity in regards to the eyes, that they yeah, it's a lot of the event was talked about that day on the 8th. The 8th was a lot of talking about the movements of spirits. I listened to Coast to Coast AM, so it was a lot of spiritual psychic activity kind of radio applicationals. I'm adding for tank archetypes, copy and paste, as well as algorithms that means you guys need to be protected. That means you guys needed. I'm adding for the jump stuff that means you guys needed, and the information regarding it that means you guys need to be displayed. Where you guys needed, where you guys needed, let knows in regards to when to jump and when not to. The way you guys needed. I'm adding for the air supports that means you guys needed, as well as the naval supports that means you guys needed to be protected. That means you guys needed. You know what? There is. You never know why, Alex. You got some sharks everywhere. I swear to God, one of these days. Yeah, but the sharks, I'm advocating for the sharks. That means you guys need to be protected. That means you guys need to. I'm specifically advocating for the blueprints. That means you guys need to pertain to the sharks. That means you guys need to be protected. That means you guys need to. Sorry. No mean for humans to harm you. We're going to get better, I think. Spiritual stuff taking place. You never know. And Discovery Channel, Shark Week, all that stuff. Really good stuff, We might from the spiders and the snakes. That means you guys need to be protected. That means you guys need it. Oh, they do exist. See, you like that. See, that's the problem with that. Yeah. Huh. I don't know why that is. I have for my nose to be protected. That means you guys need it. I have for my nose. I have for safety and saving in regards to me, in regards to sharks. That means you guys need the moments. That means you guys need it, as well as in regards to those. That means you guys need the women. You guys need it. This is the case of this. The people being put in regards to my situations, in regards to doppelganging, the authorities and higher powers need to take a look at it, and they need to take a look at it now. And that's the case because later in the future, it's going to be a little too late for some. And that's the case of it. This is on it content. It's going to be uploaded on YouTube. It really does matter. Okay? This is Alex James Hislop, member 54, and others. To find a Women's Spirit Guide saying this, the Women's Spirit Guide syndicated. That's got to be almost over. Alrighty. Certain kind of doppelgangers that takes the hit, people, at times, and it's been, in regards to certain things. And it's one of those things where it's like, okay, so certain kind of dark beings start to attack themselves in regards to certain ways. It's like, we can only do so much. It's like, we take a lot of sort of heat at times in regards to certain things. But, how much are we supposed to go through? How much torture and suffering are we supposed to go through until we're supposed to be, where we're able to promote certain kinds of immorality without experiencing certain kinds of things, where we're getting, paid for this kind of, well, for some, we're getting paid. Some are already getting paid. Some are already supposed to get paid, and some have been getting paid. And that's the case. Well, there is, but wait, no, there is. I'm not saying there isn't, but this is one of those issues. It really is. I almost want to back away here, but I'm going with Women's Guide Syndicate. You're talking about me. You're talking about others from Women's Guides. Light, far light, sending Women's Guide Syndicate, light, doing Women's Guide Syndicate, running the doppelgangers at Women's Guide Syndicate, the Women's Guide Syndicate. I and others from Women's Guides appreciate your assistance and request that you, provide assistance in the ways that Women's Guide Syndicated, the way Women's Guide Syndicated. Light, far light, sending Women's Guide Syndicate, light, doing Women's Guide Syndicated, regarding it, the way Women's Guide Syndicated. Jesus Christ Almighty. No, good sir. No. Oh, I can see some shark experiences happening behind the scenes on another dimensional. Holy smoke. Holy smoke. In my body, to a certain extent, I felt it in my body. Someone getting attacked. Someone saying, I need help, man. Help. I think is what he said. Am I for help to be protected? He says, you ever know what hell shark? Hell sharks are mean, man. You never know what lava shark? Never heard of that? No lava shark? Freaking heck. Oh, yeah, that's it, yeah. Yeah, they look dark. That's some of them. Some of them look that way. Kind of the natural one. Oh, there's that. Oh, they're the worst. This is the worst one, man. That was the worst one. Really, yeah, so talking about like lava sharks that are the lava. That is some bad air, well, some say it is, but it's the ones that can take hold of the harder stuff. Yes, that is definitely it. That's one of them. Okay, well, hell, that's just real loud. That's it. That was freaking heck. Why we're gonna go with it? Well, that's why. There's other ones. This is the case of it. Okay, well, never mind. You win the grade, good sir. The medal and the prize and the booty goes towards those Women's Guide Syndicate. For freak's sake, let's moving on. Yeah, definitely going to continue going here, but I'm adding for the word centers that Women's Guide Syndicate to be protected. The Women's Guide Syndicated, I am grateful for the assistance in regards to what Women's Guide Syndicate, the Women's Guide Syndicated, light, far light, setting the Women's Guide Syndicated, light, set Alex James Hislop's time the way Women's Guide Syndicated, and place him dimensionally where Women's Guide Syndicated, the Women's Guide Syndicated, set his dimensional aspects, or the way Women's Guide Syndicated, the Women's Guide Syndicated, I'm adding for light, far light, setting the Women's Guide Syndicated, like to display their defense information where Women's Guide Syndicated in regards to this content experience, the Women's Guide Syndicated. I'm adding for those that Women's Guide Syndicated to display the banner's defense of those that Women's Guide Syndicated, the Women's Guide Syndicated. If possible, quick, a quick, something simplistic. I'm adding for simplistic. One of the most important key things here, people. Higher powers, I and others from Women's Guides are adding for you to protect simplistic, the way Women's Guide Syndicated. By way of what's happening to us down here. By way of what the heck's happening to our lives. We need to be able to understand this so we don't have to run around in no goddamn circles for the rest of our lives, so that by the time we're finished this, that we don't have to go through it all over again. And it's something that you don't fully understand, some of the viewers, but it's one of those things where it's like, if you have to go through a life review and then you have to do it thousands, almost, well, no, for some, is that true? Is that literal? Reviewing our lives to such an extent, thousands of times to be able to, thousands, millions, but you know what I'm talking about. By the end of the ray, when it's all fixed and done, when you're all there, you're like, okay, we finally got somewhere, and then something's revealed, and it's like, oh, we got to do this all over again? We got to see this all up again? That's also it. That's a part of it, but that's why, because he's down here saying it now, and that's the case. Because I'm down here saying it now, though, and that's the truth of it. Jesus, this is the truth. Well, that's they tried to. That's the truth of it, though. It's the bigger truth of it. I call upon those that Women's Guide Syndicate, the Women's Guide Syndicate. If you could do that on camera, it would be over. This would be done. I've already done that, haven't I? No, not right now. Don't do that right now. No, continue going here. I don't know why. Yes, continue going. All right, anyway, the 9th. Let's move on to the 9th. Sorry, somebody's here. That was what they called it. I'm adding for the mixing that Women's Guide Syndicate that day. I'm adding for Women's Guide Syndicate regarding, I felt a certain kind of body attraction turned to stone or a certain kind of stone-like substance and then get moved. I'm wondering if it was sort of used as some kind of a, I don't know what it was used for. It's the thing of it. It's one of those like physical ailments kind of like, that's kind of how I felt about it. That's where I go with it. I don't know what to tell you. I'm not going there with it, but I'm just saying. And I'm asking for the movers and shakers of physical ailments. That means you guys need to receive the resources and support, supplies and amenities. I want a care package the size of the goddamn moon. Where answer guides indicated. The way answer guides indicated. For freaks, that's the problem with it. I don't want the moon being harmed. I don't want the moon being harmed. Not the size of the moon then. The size of what answer guides indicated. The size of what my main spirit guides indicated. The way answer guides indicated. Luna Luna ain't got nothing to do with this, man. The moon ain't got shit to do with it. Leave him, please. I'm made for Earth to protect Luna the way answer guides indicated. Oh, you don't know why that is. And I'm made for Sol to protect Earth the way answer guides indicated. I'm adding for Sol to protect the other planets in the solar system, the way we guys indicated. I'm adding for Earth, Sol, and Luna to do what my main spirit guides indicated in regards to this marketing, education, etc. Departments for guides, the way we guys indicated. This is Alex James Hislop, November 44, saying this, the way my spirit guides indicated. Luna, Earth and Sol potentially have souls, man. They're potentially, they're living beings. Yeah, this is what's it's awesome. That's what it is. We don't know why that was. And that's how he did it, though. That was the truth of it. Well, good for you. I'm meant for Lar to protect Sol, the way makes you guys needed, to protect those that makes you guys needed, the way makes you guys needed. Angels do what makes you guys needed in regards to Lar that makes you guys needed, the way makes you guys needed. I'm adding for angel communications with main spirit guides, main camp, main sat, main guides. That makes you guys needed to be safeguarded, protected, and defended the way makes you guys indicated. Angels that makes you guys indicated do what makes you guys needed in regards to correlating the information that makes you guys needed in regards to my main guides and main spirit guides that makes you guys needed, the way makes you guys needed. Well, that's why. All righty then. Anyhow, big day. Yeah. Well, it was. I think so. It was fairly silent to a certain extent. But yeah, it was kind of silent on mine. I'm adding for dark blue, blonde, psych activity, feng shuiers, clarifications, mixing attractions, pain management, ideas, gaming, communications, tolerance, monies, and motivation to be protected. I was somewhat happy that day. Like I was really happy. That's what they said. That's what they claimed here, and that was the truth. Well, that's a problem probably. But you never leave that alone because there's stuff lost. Why can't you just leave it alone though? Like for real, like why do you have to? You don't know why it is. I know there's from Instagram. Light, far light, setting them, guys need light. This is the problem with that. Okay, that was the case. This is it, eh? This was the case of this. That's it. We're done. So we're already up. You understand what this is now. So those good guys out there, I haven't hidden this card for a little bit here, but you got something up your sleeve, right? Because that's also it. Because it's been that at times. Well, you don't know why that was. Alex pulled a card here. Yes, I pulled the cards that Minsk guys indicated. Am I supposed to pull that one that I was thinking of now? Not necessarily. Okay. All right then. I and others from Instagram are having for banners, contemplation, medical observation, conflict, so-called physical, as well as conflict management dimensions that makes you guys need to be protected. I am a psychic medium, actually. Psychic medium is correct, and I'm out for the word centers that makes you guys needed, and the clarifications regarding that. I'm out for the testifications that makes you guys need to be displayed, where makes you guys needed in regards to those that makes you guys needed, the way makes you guys needed. I'm out for what makes you guys needed regarding that. That might be not what you think it is. There was a tell earlier on in regards to this process. It might be just an air thing, like something airs, like hits the, all right, well, that's why. All right, good for you, Alex. That's the case of it, but it's slow, man. That's what they said. Because it's the best thing you've ever seen. Well, this is everything. This is the done of it then. Alex, you won everything. This is what they said. You don't know why it was. Oh, partly the reason is because I'm advocating for immorality rights to a certain degree in the ways that mainstream guides indicated. It's one of those biggest things. It's like, oh, immorality rights, good sir. Well, let's open our books. I mean, this is the thing of it. I mean, this is the truth. And that's the thing of it, though. But I don't mean to upset those who are losing access in regards to immorality. We were talking about that, certain alternatives regarding that. What are we able to provide those who are losing, certain things in regards to immorality? People are like, oh, well, we can't promote this certain thing anymore. So what do we do? What exactly is it for them, and what's the compensation regarding it? I mean, that's also it. Yeah, I want to create a document regarding it. It probably will be created. It probably is already created in regards to those that makes guys needed, women's guys needed. Light, far light, sending women's guys needed, light, do women's guys needed regarding it, the women's guys indicated. Oh, I don't know. This is the thing of it. I mean, that's I know what means you guys indicated, and the way you guys indicated. It's one of those things where it's like immoral spirits sometimes feel like they're getting encroached upon by way of certain things. By way of me saying, immorality promotions, rights, right? Well, if I talk about we being able to do it in certain kinds of ways, like, playing violent video games to facilitate some of that stuff, but like violent video games where you go in a room and you have a sandbox area where you have a certain kind of AI, you can play with certain kind of AI, and then the reactions. And the whole thing in regards to that is as if it wasn't. Where you can play God if you wanted to. And can you get lost in it? There's safeguards in play in a certain kind of way. And that does. And there is mentality gauges, and there is checks in regards to it, and there is certain kinds of desensitizations in certain kinds of ways. Right? Yeah. And this is the thing, but we need to let know some information regarding that, and honesty. One of the biggest things in regards to this is honesty. You understand that? You understand that honesty is what we need here. Honesty is one of the biggest things in regards to understanding what sort of spirits want to promote. Negative spirits promoting certain kinds of immorality in a certain kind of consent. Well, for some consensual way. For other things, there's been talk, and it's been one of those things. Certain spirits wanting to promote certain kinds of, what some on this physical planet might consider a little bit unclothed. And some of it has to do with certain kinds of forms used in intimacy. It's like, well, what kind of forms? It's like, well, imagine certain kinds of forms that seem more, innocent, seem more, younger, and that sort of thing. It's like, okay, well, that's a tough subject. It's like, yeah, it's a tough subject. You are correct. And it's one of those things where I feel uncomfortable because it's like, it's, in a consent sort of way. What would you say if if the two people wanted to consent to, having certain kind of consensual sex in a body that was in both bodies that were 15? Or younger than that. I mean, at what point do we say, okay, well, wait, I don't know. I mean, that's the thing of it, right? And that's a part of it. Well, that is a part of it, though. So you don't know why, because there's somebody who's looking afar, and he knows that there's these old guys looking now, right? Because we've been waiting here for a while now, Alex. Well, I and others from Instagram guides are asking for those that means guys indicate to be found. They can't be left there hanging here. We're doing what? Well, that's why we tried your systems while waiting here. Oh, shit. You've got to be shitting me. Well, that's also it. No time? Like, that's it. That's the compromise. The compromise? What? No. Come on. Wait a second. Oh, come on. Talk about mirage. Holy shit. Wait a second. Oh, I couldn't let, because that's why. Oh, come on. Well, it was like I was saying, but, it does matter. It does matter greatly. I said it over there, didn't I? Yeah, you were. You tried, and that was the thing of it. Well, try don't you try again? Well, I'm asking for more time in regards to those that means you guys indicated, the women's you guys indicated. I'm asking for time set up in regards to what means you guys indicated. To be what means you guys indicated, it matters greatly. To be what means you guys indicated, in regards to certain time setups, it matters greatly. It affects everything, and if everything can align, the stars can align. But what was why? We had to test it out, didn't we? Well, true, but you're also looking at what it wasn't. And that's the thing of it. Well, you are correct. No, it does matter. This is the thing of it. Don't more time to align for what? I mean, if it doesn't work, that's also it. That's why, Alex. There's that sort of thing where it's like, okay, well, what would happen if it didn't? Well, that's also it. For safety reasonings, I would feel better. I didn't look at it and didn't know. It's one of those, and it might have saved my ass, but I don't know what to tell you. I mean, like, this is the case, but no, it's not necessarily that, man. No, it's not necessarily that. People are different. There is different people. I'm a fan. I am a fan, like, for shit's sake. That's the thing of this. That's why. Understand that. Jesus. For shit's sake. Because that's why everyone's like, wow, holy fuck. Excuse my language. I'm adding for the language that makes us needed to be blanked out. The way these guys needed in regards to the versions of this content experience that makes us needed. The way guys needed. I'm adding for the informational embedment in regards to the versions that makes us needed. The way guys needed. Alrighty then. You don't know why, because you went that. You went all smooth move. I'm adding for, I had a vision that day on the 10th. Something happened where there was like this vision wave that sort of happened where peoples got attacked. I don't know if peoples got attacked. It looked like a vision. I'm hoping there wasn't peoples who got hurt. Kind of looked like an Armageddon kind of thing where people just went, psh, and it was just like, And that was why. That was the case of this. And I don't know what to tell you on it, but I didn't mean to, I was thinking about it. Someone said you have some aggression to work out. I'm like, okay, well, and I kind of thought of it like, am I going to be like, I do it on the sword in the battlefield? Is that what I'm going to be like? No, I'm like, it's got to be like a god kind of thing where I'm like, attack, it's got to be like whole armies taking on a god, that kind of thing. As I was thinking about it, I saw this vision and it just went like, all of a sudden it was just like this, like, a certain kind of, it was a little bit of an apocalyptic on a battlefield where it was kind of like a little bit of a meteor hitting, not all of Earth. It was a small meteorite, man. It's like yeah. I wanted to say that scene. I mean, because that's also what everyone like, whoa, you should say it. Well, that scene from Lord of the Rings, where at the beginning when, the ring is, Sauron falls, and the whole wave, and they just go like, whoa, and everyone just kind of like falls back, that kind of thing. It looked like that, but with more dirt and, okay, well, some more of a dirt wave? Yeah, more of a dirt wave, yeah. Well, all right, fine. Oh, well, this is the thing of it then. That's what it means. This is the case of this, people. And what does that mean for me? That's also why. I mean, this is why. Will light, far light, setting the means guys need to display my stances in regards to what means guys negated pertaining to the topics that means guys negated, especially immorality, where means guys negated, the way means guys negated. And they've been keeping and saying this thing that I'm some sort of original creator, but I'm not. At times, the spirits have insinuated that we're gods. Some of us are gods. We're gods. Those that means guys indicate, the women's guys indicate. The God sparks talked about within psychic writing at times. Oh, come on. It's not just, people are, certain people have a certain kind of power. It's not necessarily so exclusive. And there is multiple different kinds of beliefs in regards to that. That's a part of it. Some people, believe that there's some gods, some people don't, and some people do. I have beliefs in regards to all three. I mean, you don't have to be a god if you don't want to be for what's acceptable. I mean, there's some people, it's like, hey, listen, man, I don't want to tell you. And that's what they're saying about you. This is the case of this. You have to save people, Alex. That's the problem with it, though. Save them just enough, and then right there with the knife to take me out. Like, what am I supposed to do with that, Are they seriously, is this it? It's like, I know you're just angry, right? You're not really, like, truly pissed off, or is it like, for freak's sake? Whatever, then. You thought you were the guy getting stabbed? Oh, shit. No, you were the guy who grabbed the knife, and that was the case of it. Holy shit. Okay. Well, that was the case of it, because I was not that's why. That's why. You weren't the one, Alex. And that's the truth of it. I'm just happen to be one of the guys who's probably next to the one, and that's the truth of it. Ever freaks it, yeah. I'm wondering, Alex, which one is it, huh? There was a thing said about the numbers within this process, but I think there's a little more to it than that. I mean, it could be represented to like 4 million, 4 billion. That's the thing of it. Anyway, I know that some people watching this might be like, okay, what have you been... There's tells within life, people, about, certain things that are happening. It's hard to fully explain. There's story, there's themes, your likes, dislikes. Potentially some of it really does matter, and some of it doesn't have to. We talk about realism, and that's a part of it, right? My for the story spirits that makes you guys needed to be protected. Makes you guys needed. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to upset you earlier. It wasn't meant like that. All right, well, fine. That was why. Well, that's why they're trying to hurt you here. I'm out of even the feng shuiing of insanity and mental illness that means you guys needed regarding those. That means you guys needed to be situated the way means you guys indicated. There's this sort of psychic-activity feeling that I felt. This wiggling in the brain, this kind of movement out of the ear, kind of thing being shoved in the ears, this sort of stuff. Especially behind the scenes in other dimensional selves. There's this kind of suppression thing that's on me at times, and there's other kind of areas just so I'm like, but is that what it is? I'm asking for help regarding me the way my spirit guides indicated. You talk about that? I mean, how is it supposed to be? This is the case of this. Wait a second. That was why, because everyone wants to leave something here now. And this is the case of it. This is why Alex says this. You can't sit there and say that. No, that's why. That's over. There's nothing else to say. Because you're in a good spot now. And you know it. There's a guy who's in a decent spot somewhere and said the best thing about it, but that's not good enough. Making me insane, it makes no sense. Because I can feel myself other dimensional selves behind the scenes, and it's looking at something which is like therapeutic, Alex. It's not necessarily what you think it is, though. I might be decent. That was what's messed up about it. And you don't believe that. I want to believe that. That's the thing of it. Get that You know what? This is the truth of it, though. Whatever. Later on a little, yeah, that. You know what? Going with what Minster Guides indicate. I believe what Minster Guides indicate. Light, far light, setting that Minster Guides indicate light. Save those that Minster Guides indicate in the moments that Minster Guides indicate pertaining to February 2019, the way Minster Guides indicated. This is Alex James Hislop, Fembro 44, saying this the way Minster Guides indicated. My physical family really is innocent in this. And this is the case if you say that it's not, this is the true, though. I'm telling you. They're innocent. They're innocent in this life. It takes a lot of stuff off the table, and you know it. It really does. I'm innocent in this. But you know what? There's a bit of a difference. Fine. But they really are. And they haven't done anything wrong. And the things that they've been subjected to at times, unacceptable. No, it can't be. It can't be acceptable in the ways that Minster Guides indicated, the way Minster Guides indicated. The 10th, we're going to the 11th here. And new players. This was the day which changed everything. Live perspective, feeling focus, clarity, this live feeling, like I'm looking off this edge of a cliff, like it really just, like you're there and like everything's happening. Like this is the case of this. In a certain dimensional existence, I could feel myself like just cooking, man, like just, whew, what is going on? And I'm doing things right at the live edge of whatever the hell it is, of a certain kind. And that's why, Alex. What if it was, hey? What if it was this, huh? Well, they said that they tried to kill me in another dimension right now, but that's fairly messed up. I know there's Minster Guides are testifying in regards to Alex James Hislop, Fembro 44, the Women's Guides indicate. Remember the last will and testaments pertaining to Alex James Hislop and others from Minster Guides to be displayed where Minster Guides indicated. Minster Guides indicated. I and others from Minster Guides are adding for the last will and testaments that Minster Guides indicated in regards to those that Minster Guides indicated to be displayed where Minster Guides indicated, the way Minster Guides indicated. You don't know why it is. Well, that was why, though, but it still stands because I used the physical wording of it, and that's the truth of it. I'll go use the physical wordings on that last one there, the way Minster Guides indicated, if need be. The way Minster Guides indicated. All right, fine. You really did, then. Holy shit. Anyway, I know that some people are feeling a certain kind. I'm sorry. I don't mean to upset anybody. We talked about, certain things this day, but this live perspective came around me, and I felt like, everyone said, like, okay, well, the smoke and mirrors, are we trying to, the folds, the certain kind of folding that happens in life, certain kinds of, certain kind of sim-like experiences was, sim still, I still feel the sim, like, Okay, well, that tells everything, and that's the truth of it. You don't know why. It means you're not there. I was already insinuating that it was potentially elsewhere. So you're already somewhere else then. That's what they say. So you're already above? Well, think about the kind of help that you've received. Wonder what that means. Because that might be it. I don't know. I hope. I mean, this is the case. If I could see people and I need to be able to, I hope I'm going to be helping them. Why the hell wouldn't I? The idea is that dimensional layers and other layers, Alex is, the idea is that they're saying that, but the idea is that I am there and getting killed. And that's the case of it. So them saying that that's the case of it is bullshit. That's an open channeling spirit, letting know of certain things that are happening here. It's an open channeling. They're open channeling here. Certain spirits. Open channeling is decent. Open channeling is a decent thing in this process. I'm out for the channel beings that means you guys need to receive the resources that means you guys need the way you guys need. Listen, I love you guys. I love you all. For what's acceptable, some of you. Those that means you guys need the way you guys need. I'm advocating for me to be saved in the moments that means you guys need the way you guys need. I know that some of you may look at this and say, okay, this is a little bit surreal, and it might be. But there's things like that that's said on the channel. It's someone dealing with the psychic activity. If some of it's bullshit, then some of it's bullshit. This is the thing. That's the best thing about it is there's that telling thing that, if it is, it is. But if it isn't, then it really does matter. I mean, it's all caught, it's going to be on YouTube. It's going to be on the other content experiences places. It'll be on other physical, areas too. I'm out for the content experience, companies that means guys indicated to be protected. The women's guys indicated to safeguard the information that Minster Guides indicated, especially in regards to Alex James Hislop and others from Minster Guides and women's guys indicated. I'm out for you to receive the resources and support needed in the ways that Minster Guides indicated pertaining to the time frames that Minster Guides indicated, the women's guys indicated. I'm out for time to receive ultra resources. That means you guys need. I don't know what ultra. I don't know. I'm out for the supply. I'm out for supply lines to be protected. In regards to time, the way you guys need. Remember logistics and manpower in regards to time, the way which you guys indicated. I don't know what to tell you about those. It should be. I'm out for the clarifications in regards to the light. that means guys negated, especially in regards to when I advocate for the lights, former light sending women's guys needed, indicating the light to continue to do women's guys needed. In regards to this marketing application, etc. department, so guys, women's guys needed. It really does matter. Working through those blockages matter greatly. Light, former light, sending women's guys needed light. Continue to work through those blockages that means guys needed pertain to those that means guys needed, the women's guys needed. All right, fine. And you don't know why. That would be why. That's the case of this. There is things like that, and you don't know why. See, there's a thing like that, and you don't know why he continues to go there. That's why it saves. That's what it does. And you don't know why it is, because Alex goes there every damn day. Compassion, care, and kindness. Respect. Yeah, well, compassion, care, and kindness, and respect, no matter for to be protected, defending, this was etc. departments regards. So he just needed. Those four don't deserve to be attacked over this. Half the time I'm being disrespectful. Well, no, they don't deserve to be attacked over me. Trust me. Don't do it. Because I'm respect. And that's the truth. Yeah, well, there's a thing like that. And you do it, and they're going to be pissed, and then good luck. For freak's sake. That's pretty much how I feel. Well, good for you. That was what you said. I'm of respect, not respect. Sorry. Maybe I used to be respect. I don't know. Well, good for you, Alex. Anyway, I'm gonna just do the last advocation here, and it doesn't matter. I already did the testification portion of it. I'm Alex James Hislop, main camp's main spirit guides. I know there's department camp arriving for healing, protection, defense, etc. department camp, and what we may camp in regards to the AJHD Alex James Hislop Diary Entry content, February 13th, 2019 information, and others from the way we camp are needed. That's the thing of it, though. You know it. Well, I already did communications, man. I'm ready for my communications to be set the way it's guys need. I'm ready for clarifications in regards to the past 2 days that makes us need to be displayed. I'm for letting those and for the viewers to feel not necessarily so weirded out by viewing some of this content. I don't mean to be so upsetting at times or so turbulent. It's just that there's events that happen, and when I'm recording, there's spirit around me who feel like there's certain information that needs to be known. There's people who watch this, and you know what? There's times when there's probably physicals who turn it on that the spiritual around you is like a pin drop. You probably won't notice it, but the spirits are like, "Oh my God, for frig's sake!" And then it's like, "Oh, we're gonna for frig, no, come on, a little bit longer than that, for frig's sake." But it's not necessarily that. There is probably gonna be a lot of physicals who potentially watch it eventually. But if there's those ones out there, those guys, reviewing and working through it later on in their lives, it means you guys negated as a groups. Those groups, it means you guys negated. I'm out for those who means you guys need to receive the resources and support. That means you guys negate the way. Means you guys negated. Son of a gun.